What That's what they used to say in the 90s. You know, what else they used to say in the 90s? In the 90s, they used to say that the Jones Act was incredibly important
Oh,
for
fuck.
preserving American naval strength and ensuring that we would always have a merchant marine. But obviously, in recent years, as both you and I know, the Jones Act has been subject to, at the very least, scrutiny, certainly debate. Does the Jones Act make sure that America maintains a domestic shipping fleet? Well, that probably cannot be denied. But does it make America competitive in the global world of shipping and manufacturing? Well, I think it has quite the opposite effect. Perhaps I've gotten ahead of myself. Do you even know what the Jones Act is, you
No.
ignorant little boy? You probably don't. I'll remind you. The Merchant Marine Act of 1920, or the Jones Act to its friends, specifies that any cargo ship departing and arriving at an American port must fly an American flag and be subject to American maritime law. American shipping, unlike other countries, pays a higher wage and is highly unionized as compared to, say, Panama.
I think this has to
Because
be
of
more
this
expensive.
low
Has
cost
to be
of
more
labor from
expensive.
other countries, the majority of international shippers choose to use non-U.S. flagged transport vessels for their cargo. However, if you are shipping from the United States to the United States without stopping in, say, Osaka, you simply have no choice but to be subject to the Jones Act and pay higher labor and maintenance costs related to flying American flags on your ship. What are the benefits of this? Well, it creates tens of thousands of jobs for American shipbuilders and seamen. Tee-hee-hee. These are mostly highly paid jobs in a highly unionized sector, and they allow low-skilled laborers to make higher wages than they might in other sectors. Obviously, the creation of jobs for Americans, especially highly paid jobs, is a good end in and of itself. But what effect does it have on prices and American consumers? Well, overall, it does not severely inflate the price of imported goods, because most of these are not brought in on carriers subject to the Jones Act.
He just sent me
However,
this.
if you live on one of America's islands, it can severely increase the price of imported goods brought to you from the mainland. For example, if you live in Puerto Rico and something is being imported from Miami, the increased shipping cost
Did you
is going
edit the
to
Miami
severely
in
impact
after
the
the
price
fact?
of items on the island.
You were like,
This is
shipping
obviously
comes from
detrimental
Miami.
to the residents of Puerto Rico, Hawaii, the Mariana Islands, Guam, etc., and this is an argument for repealing the Jones Act.
Oh my god.
However, the loss of labor opportunity in the sector would be felt particularly hard by individuals who rely on the Jones Act in order to live and support their
I don't know if I
families.
can let this
But
be.
perhaps this job loss would be acceptable if we were able to reduce prices on some of the islands in America where incomes are lower than on the mainland. What do you think? Should the Jones Act be maintained, perhaps strengthened, or should the Jones Act be repealed? Who would benefit the most? How much? As is often the case in these sorts of issues, a complex web of influential parties have a lot to gain and lose over the debate
This is
on the
unbelievable.
Jones Act. What do you think about the Jones Act? Be sure to send your questions and comments to Alex Marie Boniello at AOL.com.
It's not my email. Okay. Jesus Christ.